It's vacation finally. You can buy a ticket to an unforgettable island full of entertainment. The helicopter takes you there. Unfortunately, you won't be able to relax much because you need to solve puzzles in addition to having fun. And at the end of the video, count how well you went through it. You're going to have fun all day. Challenging riddles require concentration and attention, but you want to solve them in a relaxed way this time. Enjoy! The first thing you do is go to a beach party. Sun, ocean, hot, white sand. You take a soda and go dancing. All of a sudden, the music stops. You ask the DJ what happened. Someone pulled the wire from the speakers, she says. You go behind the stage and see 5 cords. All of them have different colors. 2 of them need to be inserted into the speakers. Which ones? Hurry up, save the party! Red and green. There are marks with corresponding colors in the left corner of each speaker. The party goes on. You're tired and hungry, so you go to a restaurant. There's a huge buffet with hot dishes. You take 2 sandwiches and sit down at the table. After a delicious meal, you decide to have some fresh fruit for dessert. You come up to the table with bananas, apples, pineapples, and kiwis. Some of these fruits are not fresh. Which of them, and why is that? All the fruit trays are almost empty, but there are a lot of kiwis left. People don't take them since they're not very fresh. After lunch, you go to the beach. The sand is so hot that you can fry eggs on it, so you put on your shoes. You see a group of people playing volleyball. You want to join them, get closer, but the game field is empty. Was it a mirage, or did the people leave the spot so quickly that you didn't notice? What do you think? It was a mirage, since there are no footprints in the sand. The sun is hot, and you decide to go into the jungle to hide in the shadows. You go out into a wide clearing and see several people sitting in the lotus position. It's a meditation session. People relax with their eyes closed and do not see that you've come. You carefully sit down next to them and realize that something is wrong with all these people. What is it exactly? They don't just sit, they're floating a couple inches off the ground. Who are they? You get scared and run away from this place. You run through the jungle and see 3 roads. One is littered with broken glass. There are plants with thorns on the second road, and you see hot coals on the third one. Which one will you choose? Actually, you can go everywhere. You put on your shoes on the beach, remember? In the very center of the island, you find a big old house. Its roof is destroyed and the windows are broken. But there's music coming from the building. You look inside and see a group of people in raincoats dancing to techno. You join the party and notice that each person has long fangs peeking out of their mouth. The dancers turn to you and look unfriendly. At first, you get scared, but then you realize these people are only pretending to be vampires. Fangs and cloaks are part of the masquerade. How do you know they're not vampires? The roof of the building is destroyed. The sunlight gets inside. The vampires should be afraid of it. You keep dancing, and at that moment, you get terrified. The dancers aren't vampires, but they're not humans either. Why do you think so? There's a mirror on the wall, and only you are reflected in it. You run out of the building and go through the jungle. White pigeons fly past you, and in the distance you can hear people's voices. You make your way through the bushes and find yourself at a wedding ceremony. People are sitting on the chairs. A bride, a groom, his friend, and 2 bridesmaids are standing in front. Everything seems fine, but then you realize that one of these people is an alien. Who? The bride. You can see that she has 3 hands. It doesn't scare you too much. After the ceremony, the party begins. You speak with the guests, take drinks and snacks. An old man gets on the stage to deliver a speech. He says that he has a gift to the newlyweds, an elixir that makes a person younger by 5 years and prolongs life. The same elixir is inside every drink, and everyone can drink it. All the guests rush to the table and grab glasses. Someone drinks 2 glasses at once, someone 5 to 6 glasses in a row. Someone quickly drinks only 1. And among all the people, there is an old lady. She slowly drinks her cocktail and becomes a little younger. Why did the elixir affect her but not the other guests? The elixir was in ice cubes. The old lady drank for a long time, and the ice in the glass had time to melt. You leave the party and continue exploring the island. Ahead you can see a tunnel with a warning sign. Beware the phantom inside. A guy and a girl come up with you. They offer to run through the tunnel to check if there are really ghosts there. So it won't be scary, you all run holding hands with each other. The girl is in the middle. It's cold and slippery inside the tunnel. You can't hear anything. You're approaching the exit and finally got out. It was a little scary, you say. It's good that I was in the middle, said the girl. Me too. I wasn't afraid, says the guy. At this point, you realize there was a phantom inside the tunnel. How did you figure that out? Three people ran through the tunnel, and only one could be in the middle, the girl. Whose hand was the guy holding? You get scared and leave this place. Evening. You go back to the hotel and see that it's on fire. There's a fire on your floor. You run inside. Fire is everywhere. You have 2 valuable things that you want to take away. A small safe with documents and money and a laptop with your work. You need to choose one thing. Take the computer. Most safes can withstand high temperatures, but a laptop is unlikely. You can find your safe after the fire. You've got a different room on the 10th floor. It's spacious with an ocean view. You're about to go to bed, but someone is knocking on the door. It's the administrator. She says there's a snake in your room, but you need to find it. Look around and find the reptile. Do you see those beaded curtains behind the second room? Among the beads, you can notice the outline of a snake. You release the snake into the jungle, return to your hotel, and notice footprints on the parquet floor. Someone was here and wanted to steal something. You call the administrator and tell her what happened. She has already found 3 suspects, and you need to guess which one of them broke into the room. There are 2 guys wearing shoes and a barefoot girl. Who will you choose? The girl couldn't leave these footprints. The guy who's standing next to her has soaking wet clothes on. His feet are also wet, but he has put on his sandals to hide them. The footprints in the room were wet. The second guy's clothes are dry. The girl's clothes are dry too, which means the guy wearing wet clothes got into your room. You can't fall asleep in the new room. It's already 3 a.m. and you decide to take a walk on the beach. Suddenly, you hear some noise. A beautiful girl is standing outside the window. She's smiling and looking at you. At first, you smile back, but then you pick up your stuff and quickly run out of the room. You call the administrator and say that you won't stay in this hotel any longer. Why did you do that? Your room is on the 10th floor. The girl looked at you outside the window, and you got scared. You can't sleep until morning and decide to leave this island. You sit on the sand and wait. A helicopter arrives and lowers a rope ladder. You're about to climb it, but at this moment, another helicopter arrives. It has the same rope ladder too. Now you need to choose the right helicopter. Take a closer look at the pilot of the first helicopter. It's an alien. You get into the second helicopter and fly away. The first one turned out to be a spaceship. Your vacation has come to an end, which means it's time to see what you've achieved. 0 to 4 points. Try to solve more logic puzzles and you'll be able to do better. Or maybe you just decided not to strain yourself too much and relax on this vacation. 5 to 8 points. Not bad. The party and the celebration atmosphere didn't dull your attentiveness and resourcefulness. But you can do better. 9 to 12 points. You were able to relax because you not only had fun, but also trained your brain. 13 to 15 points. You can quickly solve logic riddles and find a way out of any problematic situation. But don't forget to rest and relax your mind.
Wow! While working late at night in a top-secret laboratory, Michael finally managed to create the DNA of a hybrid monstrous creature. After all that hard work, he decided to grab a quick coffee and donut as a little reward. But he came back and saw that the specimen had disappeared from the incubator. Michael lined up Ryan, Jeff, and Laura and confronted them. Who took an important top-secret piece of research I was working on? Ryan said he'd been busy doing some additional research on a separate project and had no idea what was going on. Jeff said he hadn't touched the hybrid creature and had been in the archives digging through some files he needed. And Laura said she'd been in the bathroom the whole time. So, who took the specimen? Michael never mentioned that he was dealing with a hybrid monstrous creature. Jeff just let himself get caught. Better think smart next time. Anne absolutely loathes winter, but just like anyone else, she has to go out and do stuff. She had just moved to a snowy city for work and experiences some of the coldest winters. But she managed to make it to the mall to do some quick shopping through a huge blizzard. When she came back to her parked car, she discovered that someone broke into it and took her belongings. When the police lined up the 3 suspects, they each gave their stories. Francesca said she had been polishing her car outside and didn't know anything. Ned said he had been shopping for clothes, and Earl said he had been sitting in a cafe on the upper floor of the mall. The police arrested the suspect. Who was it? Francesca. She was polishing her car outside in the middle of a blizzard? That's not only illogical, but not safe either. She just gave herself away. You wake up and find yourself trapped in a room with 4 doors in front of you. You don't have enough time to choose which door leads to freedom. You hear a monster coming, so you check out the doors quickly. The leftmost door has a sign on it saying, "Take the door on the right to break free." The second door also has a sign saying, "It's the right door." The third door has a sign, "Freedom is just right in front of you." And the last door has a sign, "Don't trust the signs." Which door should you choose? The last door. It says not to trust the signs, but it doesn't mean that they're lying. The first door says to take the door on the right. Not necessarily the last door on the right, but just the one on the right. The second one says, it's the right door. Not the correct door, but the right door, as in the door on the right. The third door says freedom is just right in front of you. That just doesn't make any sense, does it? So it's the last door on the right that leads to freedom. Mason was extremely happy when he got the news that his sister Jane was coming to town. He had just started a new job and couldn't wait to host her for the first time. She was only able to see some nice pictures of the places he visited, including where he lived. When he picked her up from the airport, he noticed something slightly off about her. She was robotic with her responses and seemed stiff with her movements. She wouldn't eat and only insisted that she wanted to rest up. Strange. Had he been watching too much sci-fi? After a while, Mason hears a knock on the door, and to his surprise, it's Jane. But I thought, Jane tells him that the Jane in his apartment is an imposter. When the Jane in the bedroom goes out and sees the other Jane sitting on the couch, they're both in shock. They both try to convince Mason that they're the real Jane. But who will Mason believe? It's pretty normal to come back from a trip pretty tired and wanting to rest. But how did the second Jane know where Mason lived without prior knowledge? And she didn't even break a sweat running up to the apartment. On a nice day, Vivian, who lived in a town on the seashore, decided to go for a hike alone. But after hours of trekking, she ended up on a section of the forest she wasn't familiar with. Before her were 3 paths. One path had bare footprints leading away. Another had human shoe prints, and the third was right by the river. Which one should Vivian take to find her way? The river path. Since she lives in a coastal town, the river mouth most likely ends up in the sea. That way, she could figure out where she is. Melissa is sharing a train car with 3 other people. It's a very hot day and the air conditioner doesn't even work. James starts complaining and only calms down after opening the window. Melissa lays down her red silk scarf her grandmother gave her next to her. Judith compliments it. Robert, a senior, mentions that he forgot to bring a gift for his wife who will pick him up from the train station. James has a crush on Judith. After a while, Melissa goes to the bathroom and comes back to find the scarf missing. Who was the one who took it? None of them. It was a hot day and James opened the window. The wind sent the scarf flying right out of it. Some zombies have Diego trapped in a room. They're surrounding him. He's stuck and can't escape. Their arms are breaking in and reaching for him. When Diego looks around, he realizes that he's in a small newspaper stand with magazines and pocketbooks. And looking around him more attentively, he finds a roll of tape nearby. How can he avoid those nasty bites? The only way for Diego to escape will be to tape those magazines around crucial parts of his body where they can't lay his teeth on him. It'll be light enough for him to run away from the zombies without getting hurt. Plus, he'll have plenty of reading material for the road. Evan got lost in a forest, and just his luck, it was snowing. The only thing the police searching for him found were 4 parallel lines leading into the forest. Something doesn't seem right, they thought, and took several people into questioning. Nick said he had been at the store buying some groceries. Vanessa said she had been babysitting. Christina had been at work the whole time. After hearing the stories, they arrested Nick. Why? Nick was in a wheelchair. The 4 parallel lines were left by Nick rolling into the forest and back out. It's the beginning of a new school year, and Dave started a new job as a computer studies teacher at a local high school. Another fellow teacher, Roy, didn't really welcome him because he wanted that position. But at the end of the day, there was a security breach which leaked out a lot of important information about the school. When the police questioned everyone, including Roy and Dave, they each gave their stories. Dave said, "I was checking exam papers and was at the staff room the whole time." Roy said, "I was preparing homework for my classes when everything happened." Who should the police arrest? Who was lying? Dave. There wouldn't be any exams on the first day of school. Gareth is in a pickle. He's at the police station looking at the lined-up suspects, one of whom stole Beth's bag while she was having a picnic in the park. He observes them. Beth describes the culprit as someone big, no hair, and wearing a black jacket. All the men lined up matched the description. Gareth looks at each of them, and they all have one distinct trait that makes them stand out from each other. Suspect number 1 has a beard. Number 2 is wearing shorts. And number 3 is wearing glasses. Gareth knows immediately who to arrest. Who is it? Suspect number 1 has dirt all over his boots. The rest are all clean. He ran through the mud tracks while Beth was having a picnic.
Sarah and Barbara are in grave danger. They've been locked up at a high-security prison for over a month. One day, a fire starts at the wing where they're located, and the guards flee the scene before helping them out. Take a look at these images. If you have any clue which one of them will get out of there alive, let us know. They both have it pretty rough, but Sarah, the woman on the left, is the one who will be able to escape. She can use one of the sticks from her hair to open the lock on her cell and run as fast as she can. Mandy and Sunny have pretty adventurous spirits. They love jumping off really high places with their skateboard and mountain bikes.
Yes!
One Saturday morning, Mandy went skating, and when she arrived at the jump, her board slipped on a banana peel. That same morning, Sunny went biking, and when she jumped, she noticed she was going to land on a dog. You gotta tell us which of these ladies is in an extremely life-threatening situation and which one is just in for a scare. Drop your comment below. Mandy is probably just going to have an adrenaline peak with that banana peel in her way, but Sunny is in real danger. There's no way to predict how this dog is going to react. If it decides to attack her, she's in for a tough ride. Ben needed to get across a park in the middle of the night. That area was a dangerous place and lots of robberies happened there, but he went anyway. He walked fast until, out of nowhere, a hooded man came up to him and knocked him out. He woke up after a few hours and noticed all his belongings were gone. Ben went to the closest police station to file a report. When he got there, the police were interrogating 3 suspects, Cole, Jerry, and Bernard. They were all in the park that night. The detective gave each of them a marker and asked them to write their names on a whiteboard. As soon as they finished, he immediately arrested the right person. Can you figure out how on earth did the detective know who was guilty based on this random test? What's your 2 cents on this one? The test wasn't all that random after all. Ben was hit from the right side, so the police were trying to figure out who was left-handed. And among these 3 guys, the only left-handed one is Jerry. After a terrible day at work, Brian went on a movie date with Jane. As she walked towards him, he saw a woman snatch Jane's purse and disappear with it into the building of the movie theater. Jane didn't have time to see the woman's face, but she scratched the woman's arm with her long nails.
Oh no.
The couple walked into the cinema and immediately spotted Jane's bag. It was on a bench between 2 women. As they approached the bench, both suspects stood up and walked to the opposite sides of the room. Take a look at the crime scene. Don't let the thief get away with it. Can you figure out who the culprit is?
Hey.
Don't keep it to yourself. Let us know. Since Jane scratched the woman's arm, the thief should have a sore arm. The woman on the left was wearing long sleeves, so she probably wouldn't get hurt. The woman on the right is trying to hide a red scratch mark with her other hand. Yup, looks like she's the one who did it. On a moonless night, Emma decides to watch a horror movie before going to bed. She passes out on her couch, and the next thing she knows, she wakes up in a haunted castle. She hears screeching sounds all over the place and screams in the distance. She walks carefully to the kitchen where she finds 4 suspicious plates ready to be eaten. She's starving, so bad that her stomach is growling. Take a look at the plates. You know you'll only find peace again if you can help Emma figure out which one of these plates isn't dangerous. Take your best guess and let us know below. Take a look at the soup. There are a couple of human eyeballs in it, which is definitely a no-go. The steak is half rotten already, and there are real-life spiders crawling all over the burger. The pasta looks the least harmful out of these options. Betty and her younger sister were kidnapped by a town villain. They woke up in a dark basement filled with many corridors. The villain left them alone for a while, and they took that chance to try to find an exit. They ran all over the place until they realized they were running in circles. Suddenly, from each of the 3 directions, standing before them, a man appears. Each of them said they were kidnapped too, and they knew the way out. But your suspicion tells you that only one of them is telling the truth, while the other 2 are probably working for the villain and will take you back as a hostage. Stop everything you're doing now and help Betty and her sister decide which men they should trust. If you have an eye for detail, you probably noticed that the second man has bruises on his arms. He probably really did escape from the evil man. Betty and her sister should trust this dude and run away with his help. Daisy and Pam got late for work due to the snowstorm that hit their town. Their bosses told them if they were a second late, they would get fired. So both women decided to walk to work through the storm. Daisy decided to take a shortcut through the woods, and Pam decided she would cross the frozen lake. Daisy ran into a mother bear with her small cub, while the lake started to crack right under Pam's feet. If you're as good a detective as I think you are, can you guess which of these ladies is in grave danger? Do share your thoughts. Sure, Daisy is in a pickle, but she can stand her ground until the mother bear and her cub pass along, I hope. Yes. But Pam is in serious danger. The lake cracked with her weight, and if she walked any further, she'd probably fall straight into the freezing water. A robber is striking again. He is creeping into neighborhood houses in the middle of the night, taking very expensive items from people's houses. On the first night, he stole a refrigerator from Ronnie's house. And then, on the following night, he snuck into Brendan's house and stole his fancy table. He managed to sneak into Bruce's condo and stole a designer chair. The same night, he stole a microwave from Gunther's house. The robber is planning to rob Phoebe's house next. Do you think he's most likely to steal a mixer, a juicer, a TV set, or her bicycle? Quick, share with us your take before other bright side detectives figure it out. If you figured out the correct pattern, you know that the robber steals stuff according to their colors and the initials of a person's name. That's why he stole a red refrigerator from Ronnie and a gray microwave from Gunther. That means he's going to steal a purple mixer from Phoebe. Mike, Bob, and Percy were planning on proposing to their high school sweethearts at today's ball. They prepared everything, from the ring to the song that was going to play when the three of them popped the question. The night felt strange, and one of the guys was in extreme danger. Take a look at the couples. Jump in the comments with your guess of which one of them might lose their life if he proposes. It's Bob. Look at his partner's reflection on that mirror across the room. She's actually a witch disguised as Bob's girlfriend. He's in grave danger.